Another Moment with Bob, brought to you by your friends at Offshore Drilling and Mountaintop Removal. Yeah, two sponsors now. Welcome to the other side. Hey, Mike. I noticed during the 2015-2016 television season that characters could say shit along with the shit-esque variations, bull and horse. Oh, and asshole. You can say those on TV now. But I'll be dead and stuffed into an urn on the mantle long before anyone can say fuck on AM radio. I've sent you about 180 moments over the last 10 years, and not once have I been able to write precisely what I meant to say. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've spent your entire career skating along the edge of what the FCC will allow in the air. Fuckers. And so we must use euphemisms in order to avoid paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in so-called indecency fines. From my dictionary, euphemism, noun, the substitution of a mild, indirect, or vague expression for one thought to be offensive, harsh, or blunt. It is indescribably frustrating when facing the wreckage the Republican Party has wrought since Reagan affably strolled into office, to substitute mild, indirect, or vague expressions for the truth. I hate euphemisms. The only reason I've used them in the past was to keep elderly relatives from ramping up their blood pressure in faux outrage and then stroking out. And, of course, to avoid the fines. Our conversations became infantilized. Years and years ago, my then-wife upbraided me for my language that I used around our daughter. So, I watched my language. Months of studiously avoiding bad words finally became a habit. I learned how to talk good. I was in a meeting with an idiot who was rationalizing the gutting of my budget. "You did so well last time," he said. "Let's see what you can do with half the budget." I stood up, enraged, and called him a poophead. We looked at each other in stunned silence. Then he started to laugh. I had to leave the office because there was no way to recover from calling someone a poophead. In order to skate around the FCC's rules and regulations, we had to use euphemisms like a-hole, frig, and effing. We sounded like Mitt Romney, whose idea of swearing is to let loose with a H-E double hockey stick. He really talks like that. Pretty edgy stuff when you're in first grade. What happens when our conversations become infantilized? What happens in the public arena when we substitute mild, indirect, or vague expressions for the truth? That's when we stop telling the truth. With robot arms flailing about, we hear, "Danger, Will Robinson, danger!" We slalom down the slippery slopes of almost telling the truth, getting close to telling the truth, but whistle off the cliff because we never really told the truth. Journalists didn't write about politicians telling lies. Politicians weren't caught in a lie, they misspoke. After a couple of decades of that horse shit, the news is so far removed from the truth, most of the people watching don't have a fucking clue. There are cemeteries filled with American veterans who died fighting fascists. And now their children and grandchildren are electing new, improved, American-grown fascists. Huge swaths of the U.S. are filled with God-haunted morons who will beat you to death with their Bibles for speaking truths that are contrary to the mountains of bullshit piled high by the skeezy whores of Fox News. The Republican Party's insatiable greed and venality have made them set the presidential nominee bar so low, it's just lying on the ground. Malevolent, poorly drawn, and scripted cartoon characters running to see which among them could be the next president of the United States. It would be funny if the outcome wasn't so goddamn lethal. For 20 years, the majority of Americans have been basted in so much bullshit they think the abstract lies they have been told are real, while the reality, remains invisible to them. More addled Americans believe in angels than in election theft. Their misplaced faith in gibberish over reality brought us 8 years of the Bush-Cheney regime and proved Voltaire was absolutely correct when he wrote, "Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." For my entire lifetime, the United States has committed atrocities with the support and participation of millions of thoughtless Americans. From the blood-soaked earth of Southeast Asia to the rubble in Afghanistan and Iraq, from the killing fields in Central and South America to a balcony of a motel in Memphis and to the bullet-riddled kitchen pantry of a hotel in Los Angeles, these things happened, and the government lied about them all. But the people in front of the cameras or microphones who were supposed to tell us the truth about what our government was doing didn't. We couldn't tell everyone in the FCC corporate-controlled public arena that Ronald Reagan was a lying motherfucker. We couldn't tell John Yoo to have his nuts crushed in a trash compactor and then get back to us on whether that's torture or not. We couldn't call out George Bush or Dick Cheney or Alberto Gonzales or Condoleezza Rice or Donald Rumsfeld or the miserable shitheel war criminals they were and are, because it would be against the rules. As Pete Hogwallop said to Ulysses Everett McGill in O Brother, Where Art Thou? That don't make no sense. Well, we're on the other side now. We're outside. We can drop the baby talk and use all the words against the crazy fuckers who pull this shit without accountability. Could the stakes be any higher? From the Drift Glass blog of December 18th, 2015, the following, quote, "The right continues to be willing to spend whatever it takes to build the infrastructure and hire the armies necessary to buy, build, infiltrate, or corrupt every major microphone in America in order to pound their square pegs into round holes on every issue that matters to them all day long, every day, for however long it takes to finally kill this country and build the unfettered capitalist theocracy of their dreams on its grave." End quote. Pretty fucking high, right? Oh yeah, let's not forget the survivability of the planet in order to sustain life. That's up there too. And it seems to me we're going to need everything to try to overcome whatever the hell it is that's looming on the horizon and growing nearer every day. And at the very least, we're going to need all the words. Lewis Black said we must change the color-coded threat levels of blue, yellow, orange, and red to a much simpler "Jesus Christ," "God damn it," and "fuck me." Clear, concise, and to the point. Next time we'll dive deeper beneath the surface, but for that we'll need to call upon the services of a monstrumologist. He's an old friend of mine. More later. Bob. Woo! Another Moment with Bob, brought to you by your friends at Offshore Drilling and Mountaintop Removal, Inc. Kathy, I think Bob's been holding back on us just a tad.